Now we're going to spend a little time looking at the arc toolbar. So let's select arc right here. There's all the arc tools. We've already used this tool quite a bit, so we'll start using this one. 2 points in a radius. So we're going to select that tool. We'll snap to grids to keep it simple for right now. Notice up here at the top we have a radius text box. We can change the radius. We'll leave it, let's make it 30. Radius is 30. Now down here it's asking for the start point. So the arc's going to start here at this snap point. And notice now when I'm moving the line around, the radius will always be 30 degrees. I'm just setting the width of the arc at this point in time. So let's use a smaller number and get more dramatic effects. We'll come back to 15 radius. Now we have a 15 radius. You know that we can go up to 180. You can't go past 180 though, as far as the arc angle measurement. So that's how you would use that tool right there, that tool to place an arc. Let's back up one level. And the next tool here, 2 points at an angle. We'll use that tool. Once again, we'll snap the grids. So down here it's saying, asking for the starting point. Notice up here it's got an angle already specified. That's going to be the arc angle. It's going to be that angle between 2 points that we specify. So we'll pick the starting point there. You notice as we draw this arc, it will always be a 145 degree angle. But we can change the radius of the arc by changing the 2 endpoints of the arc. So that gives us that feature. Sorry about that interruption there. The next arc tool we're going to look at, by clicking the right button, will be an arc from 3 points. So we select, so there's a start point. We'll put a start point there. And then any other point on the arc, we'll place it right there. A third point on the arc, we can change the size and the arc degree of arc with the third point. So we place it right there. I'll right click to terminate that function. So that's the 3 arc tools. We also have a thing down here under the arc menu, which is called concentric with a distance. So let's see what that means. Up here we have a distance. We'll say 1 inch. The number of arcs, we'll say the number of arcs would be 2. All right. So now down here it's asking, it says choose a line, arc, or a circle. So we're going to choose this arc right here. Notice what happens. As soon as I get close to it, it splays up the two lines. If I go on the inside of it, then the 2 lines are inside the arc. If I go on the outside of it, then the 2 lines are on the outside of the arc. So you can determine where they get added, inside or outside, by how you place the mouse. And the distance is 1 unit of distance between each arc. So the distance is already set up. Notice I can go to another arc and do the outside, or I can do the inside. I can change the number of arcs. So it's a nice little tool to create multiple arcs that have a fixed distance between them. And once you decide where you want to have your multiple arcs, you just click and now they're permanent. I'm going to right click to leave that tool. Back up. Okay, next we're going to select this Concentric Arc Tool. This says through a point. So you notice I selected tool. It says choose a line or an arc, so we'll choose this one up here. All right, I've chosen my arc. Now it says specify a point. I can have this second arc, you know, the one I'm drawing, pass through any given XY coordinate point. Right now it's jumping to grids. I can do the ends of something else. I can have it jump to the end of this arc down here. Notice how far apart they are. At any rate, I'll also make it freehand. So I can place an arc parallel with the previous arc at a variable distance. And we can select how many happen at the same time. If we select 2, then notice there'll be 2 arcs created on the inside or outside with equal distance based on my mouse position. So I left click. Now I've got 2 arcs outside of this original first arc. Right click to get rid of that function. The next arc tool we use is this arc tool right here called Tangentially Connected. So we select that. Notice it says choose a baseline or a base arc. So we can have this arc tangentially connect to a baseline or an arc. Let's draw let's just use this arc right here. So we're going to select this arc as our baseline. And now what it's asking for is choose an endpoint of the arc. Notice how this arc has a certain radius. We've got to go up here and modify the radius. Let's give it a radius that's more realistic. We'll make it a 5-inch radius. So now, you notice, I can place an arc which is tangential to that previous arc. It's got a smooth connection with it. I can set the radius and the rotation angle of the arc by using the mouse. But I'm limited to the radius that's set up here. So I said that wrong. I can set the angle of the arc, how far the angle exists, but I can't change the radius, change it up here. I can change it right here, right now if I want to. I'll make it 7. Now I have a 7-inch radius, and I'm determining the end point of the arc right now. So we'll set the arc down here, run the other way with it. There's lots of possibilities here. So I'm going to left click to place it. Now it's ready to do it again. It's ready to do the next baseline. So I'm going to right click to get out of this function. So that's the arc tools. They have unusual characteristics, but by using these tools we've explored different ways of specifying things. Next we're going to look at the Polyline Tool CAD toolbars for a second. So this is the Polyline tools. Left click that. And this actually draws a polyline. This creates a polyline from some certain segments, but the rest of these are basically ways to edit the polyline. We can append nodes, we can insert nodes, we can delete segments between two nodes, and it goes on and on. So we're just going to deal with drawing the polyline in this particular lesson. So we'll select the Polyline tool. We'll snap to grids again because it's easy. So we'll start here. Notice it's asking for the first vertex. And notice arc segment is not checked, so we're going to keep straight lines here. So the first vertex we're going to place right there. Now it's asking for the next vertex. Place one right there. And now we're going to click the arc segment and set the arc to, let's say, 5 inches. Now 5 inches, you notice it says set the next vertex, but now we're using an arc to get to the next vertex. We use straight lines down here to get from one vertex to the next one. Now we're going to use an arc segment to get to the next vertex. And let's just set it right here. So now we've finished. I guess we can go on. If we want to go on, we can notice we're not using arcs now because it cleared that when we placed it. So we'll say arcs again. And we can bring an arc segment over here. Notice it cleared it. Do an arc segment again, bring it over here. We have a really strange looking entity here. So that's how you would use the Polyline tool. Now we're going to look into the splines toolbars. And there's two types of splines here. There's a control point spline, and there's the other type which just says fit to points. So let's just use a control type for a second. And we're going to snap to grid. We're going to free flow. We're not going to snap to anything. And down here it says first control point. So we select a control point. It says next control point, third control point. Notice now it's putting curves. It's trying to average out these 3 points. And you notice there's a right angle there showing us. That's what it's trying to average out. So this shows the lengths of what it's averaging to get where it wants to go. But basically it just fits curves that have a nice flow. And we can also close this thing and set the close point where the close actually happens. Or we can uncheck that and not close it. So that was a 3-degree spline. We can also make them 2-degree splines. That has to do with the smoothness of the curves. So we'll do some more control points. And I really can't see the difference in the smoothness of the curves. I guess mathematicians might be able to. So I'm not that experienced with splines. Right click to exit. So that's that type of spline, the control points. This one just says fit to points. So let's do a fit to points. And we'll freehand it. We'll start down here. You know, the difference is Well, it's even got the line segments, so I don't really see what's different. So I'm sorry I can't help you much with splines. It's not my forte. Anyway, that's how you use the spline tool. All right, there's 2 of them. And if you want to know more about it, we can click up here on Help, show the reference manual, and I'll make it full screen. Index, we'll go down to splines. Spline right here, control point spline. Let's go talk about it, tell you everything you need to know about it. And fit point spline. Let's go tell you everything you need to know about that too. So that's the spline concepts that are available in Qcad. And I wish you good luck with this. I'm going to have to learn more about this topic myself. But basically they're just smooth lines. It's a way to draw smooth lines. After this smooth line is drawn, we can edit that line. We can edit that particular item. Go back to our selection tool. Let's select this one, for example. Notice that the property editor tells us some information about it, but we can take any one of these control points and modify it. And once I click, now it's been changed. I take this control point and modify it. I drag it over here. Click it there. So it's easy to edit these splines once you place them to get the exact curve shapes that you desire. So that's about all I have to say about splines.